Hello, okay, so today's episode we've got Joanna Vargas. Hello, how are you?
Hey, Callum, I am excited to speak with you today. Let's do it.
I know there was a difference in time zone. Are you on the West
Oh, yeah.
Coast or East Coast?
I'm in Los Angeles, California,
Oh,
born
what
and raised.
West Coast, fantastic.
Yeah.
So what time is it? I'm not going to ask you about the weather because I can already guess it's it's probably a lot better than here.
It's a cold 65, all right? We're freezing over here in LA.
Wow,
It's
wow,
65 degrees.
that's like
Callum, where are you located?
so I'm not. There's no point me telling you my town because it's a small little town in the middle of England. But I'm near Manchester, which you probably might be more
Oh,
familiar with. So I'm just south, yeah, just south of Manchester, England. And it's
which is cold
yeah,
there, right?
it's certainly not 65 Fahrenheit. Yeah,
65, Callum. You jealous?
it was snow. It
That I'm
was
over here, we're freezing.
yeah, it was snowing here 2 days ago. So that gives you a bit of an idea of how cold it is.
Amen to you. Amen to you. Hats off.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your background. I've already sort of gave everyone a bit of a brief introduction. So just go into a little bit about, your background, what it is that you do, Joanna.
Currently, Callum, I just closed a fitness brick and mortar back in July due to the pandemic and like taxes and other things. And I was ready to get out of that business anyway of the fitness brick and mortar. I was in there for 8 years. And so currently I have my fitness online program that I'm doing with some of the students that have stayed. I have created a couple podcasts and really starting from scratch, Callum, and it's really humbling because I've been a businesses owner since, gosh, I was 18 years old, and before that I had a dance studio, have created 5K and 10K runs, dance competitions, so a lot of events, a lot of things that were not pandemic proof, so to speak. And starting from scratch, I mean, I've always been into marketing and digital marketing, but let's get real. 2021 is like, it has fast forward 10 years in 6 months,
Yeah.
since the summer, it was like everything just skyrocketed. And it's like, you almost feel like I can't keep up. And so that's what I'm doing right now. It's a lot of learning. It's a lot of starting over, and it's very humbling. And the ego is like, whoa, it's like day one, almost like I'm a new entrepreneur. And that's what I'm doing right now.
A lot of people have used this time that we're in now to start doing stuff like that. I've been doing fitness for, well, this is my 5th year now that I've been doing this, and I run 2 fitness businesses. But one thing that I did from, well, March, when this really first kicked off, I did get into a lot of marketing, and I'm just on the, it's nearly ready, setting up business number 3, which is all about social media marketing and going down that route. Because as a byproduct of what I've been doing over the last 4 to 5 years, I've already had to teach myself how to do a lot of marketing and stuff, as you can imagine.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but then I kind of drifted. I did a bit of work with a friend who is an entrepreneur, and I did a lot of I handled a lot of his social media and the the marketing campaigns behind it. So I had to learn a bit more about not just fitness but general business, and I've carried
Yes.
on doing courses and continued down that. So, I mean, I'm business orientated anyway, as I'm sure you are, but now is the right time, in my opinion, particularly over on your side of the water as well. It's a much
Mhm.
bigger country, a lot more opportunity to right now just jump in and start doing stuff like that. Become an entrepreneur. And like you said before, I was lucky. Fitness is kind of COVID proof in a sense. My gym that I'm in now, unfortunately, has been closed on and off for a lot of the
Mhm.
year. But my online business has been carrying on as it normally would.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting, Callum, that for years it's been on my to-do list when I had the brick and mortar to get online. And it was like, oh man, I was not listening. I was paying attention and listening. I was not taking my own advice
Yeah,
and my own classes that I was taking. I'm like, but rather than kicking myself in the butt for regret, okay, this is the time. And yeah, it's very interesting about the social media marketing and and starting a new business, like you just said, I truly think, Callum, with the studying moving forward, I don't think one income for a single person will suffice in the future. For example, let's go back to the 1950s, where a man worked and a woman stayed home and you had one income. And then you started to change 80s, 90s, and then you have two household incomes. And I think in the future, we're going to need two plus incomes per person rather than a per household.
I have to agree with you there, and that's one thing that the pandemic has certainly taught everyone, right? Which is
Right? Than
if
having
because
all your eggs in one basket.
yeah, because if you put your eggs in one basket, you have one income, and I had
Yeah.
two incomes, but tied under the same umbrella. But
Yes.
one of those things stopped, and suddenly I'm
Yes.
like, oh, hang on, I'm now earning half.
Yes.
Because no one saw this coming, right? But one thing that this
Yeah.
pandemic has done is taught people to get on the front foot a little bit rather than being on the back foot and
The
being
defense,
yeah, being proactive
offense.
instead of reactive. Yeah. So and I was kind of already there because I'd already started the online thing about 3 years ago whilst I was doing this, and I was building that up so that when it came to closing my gym, luckily, because I had that online experience, it was very easy to take my bricks and mortar business and turn it online very
Mm,
quickly. Most of my members don't like that, but at least they've had something. Whereas I know a lot of
something.
fellow gym owners that were like, what, what do you mean I'm closed? What am I supposed to do now?
Yeah. They didn't have the 3-year foundation like you did
Yes,
of the marketing, or a little bit. Yeah. Because if you had to start from if people that were never doing social media and now starting from the beginning, I can imagine how difficult that was.
yeah, it's a minefield. But do you know what? I've watched people in that position learn the hard way, and as a result of that, but I'm watching these other gym members now killing it online because they've had to learn
Mm,
quickly. They had to. There was
mhm,
no other choice. So I think that like you say, relying, and that's for everyone, not just business owners, but relying on one income. If that's tarnished, if that one income is stopped due to a pandemic or whatever, what other
mhm.
skills do you have to fall back on?
Yes. I mean, you can get sick, and do you still have another income that can stream while you're in bed or something of that nature rather than you have to be there?
Yeah,
And even if you start a business, let's say, Callum, and it's not your big money maker, but it's at least a leg of the table. It's something
yeah,
that somebody can start on the side, quote unquote. That's how I see, that you don't have to be a scale business owner with employees. It could look a gazillion different ways now.
yeah, absolutely. So how did this? Obviously, you mentioned that the pandemic came along. You already had loads of different things going on. You obviously have come from a similar background to me in terms of the fitness elements of everything. So, what was it apart from the pandemic? How did you go about doing what you do now?
I think I was getting ready to get ready for so many years, which helped set me up for this moment to be able to shift. I've been a dancer my entire life. And when I was in college, and I was such a hustler, and I always had like 3+ jobs, and I wrote down in like a vision journal, and I wanted to become an aerobics instructor. This was in the 90s when like step aerobics was fun and
Yeah,
sexy. So I put this down, and I made all those things come true that year in my little journal. And this was before, manifesting and journaling was like hot the way it is. So I became a step instructor for every gym. You name, I subbed, I taught everywhere, and I loved it. What I realized, Callum, was that my zone of genius is teaching. And a shout out to one of my favorite books, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Everybody, please add that to your arsenal of books. The Big Leap. And what he talks about in that book is that there's 4 types of like what you're good at, and there's the zone of genius. That's the top one. That's what you do so well, what other people look at and go, gosh, I wish I had that. And my zone of genius, which comes so easily to me, is teaching, facilitating, getting fitness and teaching it to, the girl next door. And I realized that I'm like, I'm really good. So I started teaching a lot more fitness, got into Pilates, and I brought the dance part into the fitness because I could hear music. I knew how to, move the body in a certain way that other fitness people didn't have. I had that like little extra kick, and it never left. And when I sold my dance studio, this was in 2010, 2010, ended that because it was so stressful. And what I realized, my next business, Callum, is going to be simple. So when I opened up the fitness studio, there was no front desk person. Everything was done from an app. It was very small, no more than 10 people. And I created my next venture from the learns that I had before and all the learns that I knew of what a woman was looking for when it came to fitness. I was talking to the woman, Callum, that nobody was talking to. One thing I
Yeah.
feel with fitness, there is such a gap. There's A, where you're like really out of shape, or there's Z, where you're like a fitness model and everything is perfect and you have a six pack. And I'm like, what about the woman in the middle? She can't even do a push up, right? But she gets really excited for a month. She jumps in. And then, but what happens? 95 to 98% of people will stop, give up, throw in the towel, and gain the weight back. And
Yeah.
why? Because that Z, the end, is unattainable for so long. A very small percent of people are going to eat and work out like that forever. And
Yeah.
so let's go back to zone of genius, Callum. Like, what is your zone of genius as a trainer, as a fitness person? So when I tell people, when you're looking for a trainer, find the trainer that has the zone of genius that you're looking for. Not all trainers are the same. It's like going to a head doctor if you need a foot operation. I'm not going to go to the head doctor if my foot hurts. Same thing with the trainer. So I'm like, find the trainer who talks to you. And so when I talk to other trainers, I'm like, what's your zone of genius? Oh, I train everybody. BS. You can't train everybody. So who I train is the 35 to 45-year-old woman who can't do a push-up, who wants to, she's fed up, she's probably 10 to 15 pounds overweight, and that's my girl. I'm like, if you're 200 overweight, probably not for me. If you're in shape, no, that you're probably not for me. I'm for that girl that just wants to do a freaking push-up. And so that's what got me into fitness and a lot of my own emotional eating. Callum, I was 13 years old and I was in Weight Watchers because I thought I was fat and ugly. So that whole story, I know what women are looking for. I know what they want to hear. And so that's what got me into it.
Amazing. And so many things were relatable there. It's almost like so many personal trainers or fitness instructors try to. It's the old saying, "Jack of all trades, master of none." Right,
Oh,
and
yeah.
and that's partly because when you train to be a fitness professional, that's how it's fed to you
Yep.
on your courses and when you're qualifying. Right, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can do this, you can earn
Very
80K salaries, you can, and it's like, no, you need to know exactly who you're talking to. I'll sometimes get people be like, okay, so how comes you only work with women? And my demographic very similar to yours, but mine's more 25 to 35, and
uh-huh.
sometimes it ventures over. I didn't choose that demographic. That
Yeah,
demographic, I know it sounds cringy, but that demographic chose me. And
absolutely.
I just, when I first
You morph
qualified,
into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I first qualified as a PT, I wanted to work with athletes. I thought I was going,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's what everyone wants to do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's not going to happen. And to be fair, I have the knowledge I probably could do, but I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's just not enjoyable. I enjoy the clientele that I work with, and I will sometimes. I don't restrict. I can go past that. If I have a guy who's 55 who needs help, I'll either do two things because I've created a good networking. So I'll either refer them to someone that I think will do a better job than me, and I'll be honest. I'll say, look, here is someone else. It's I'm not the right person for you for your goal.
Yeah.
Or if they really need help and they only feel comfortable with me, I'm not going to turn it down. But yeah, you're right. So many people, I see it all the time. I see new trainers qualifying, and they're trying to do everything. They want to do online. They want to do. They're doing classes. They're doing one-to-ones. They're trying Zumba. It's like, calm down. Know who you want to work. Because if I go on their page, I don't know who
I
their
don't know.
audience
Yeah.
is.
Am I your person?
Yeah.
Callum,
So
exactly.
if I was a client looking for the, as you just said, the perfect trainer to get you the results. Well, I'm very clear. If you go on my social media, I say right on my Instagram bio, I help women regain their confidence and their fitness. That's
Mhm.
exactly what I do, just in a nutshell. So when people come to my page, I'm thinking of the person who's looking for me. They want to read that and go, okay, this is someone that I want to follow and
Yeah.
potentially work with. If I just put, yeah, personal trainer,
Yeah.
and I've got some images of me doing
There we. Yeah.
pull-ups
Yeah.
with, yeah, topless, or I'm trying to do
Yes.
weighted dips, but then on another one I'm giving ladies, free hormonal. It's like, what's going on here?
Absolutely. And it's unattainable. If I land on your page, I'm like, oh, this is not for me. And then I'm going to click off. It takes 6 seconds for somebody to land on your Instagram for them to decide if they're going to follow you or not, if you are for them or not. 6 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And so that's very important.
So many people are so obsessed with just getting followers that they'll just please everyone.
Yeah.
But what, like, one mistake I made when I first set up on social media is I followed a load of other fitness professionals
Hmm.
because I thought that was the done thing, right? Let's follow for
Yeah.
follow, right? And I'm looking through my timeline and I'm seeing either other fitness professionals doing much better than me,
Hmm.
or I'm getting envious because they've got a
Yeah.
better body or something like that.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking, I'm looking down through my followers. None of them are my target audience. What am I
What am
doing?
I?
So so it
Yeah.
took a couple of years, a couple
Yeah.
of business courses for me to realize, right, so now I'm not, I'm quite modest now. So if I have people unfollow because I've said something about Slimming World or I've said something about Weight Watchers that they don't agree with,
Uh,
that's okay because they're
they're not
not
your
the people
person.
they're not my person
They're not going
and
to
I'm
pay
not
your rent.
theirs.
So why do you need
Exactly.
them as a follower?
They can't pay me in likes, they
Yeah.
can't pay me in engagement, so I need
Yes.
to resonate with them. So you have obviously started into that, and there's quite a transition, Joanna, between doing that and now you basically help entrepreneurs. You are now a business coach as such, and you actually help scale um, into business. So I see that quite often actually, where people transition from a fitness professional because they love fitness, they have a passion, and then what happens as a byproduct of that is they enjoy the business side of being a fitness professional,
Mhm.
and then suddenly that passion shifts into business. So they then end up becoming a coach of business people instead of just clients. So it's almost B2B instead of B2C type of thing.
Yeah.
Is that the kind of thing that happened for you then? Did you just kind of you had the fitness business? Obviously, the pandemic was in the middle, but you said you've been planning this for a while. Did your passion just kind
Yeah.
of shift into this?
Great question, because it happened like you said. Your clients will come to you and show you who your target is. And I received so many questions of other business owners going, teach me what you're doing. What are you doing? I want to learn. And so that's how that became about. And so right now, Callum, I'm right in the middle of figuring out who my target business owner is, who I'm going to coach. And so I'm starting this 12-week like beta, I'm going to call it, program, because I don't know yet. She's going to tell me who I'm good at coaching for business, because I know who I'm coaching for fitness, but I don't know yet for business. Am I coaching other fitness owners? Am I coaching other, whatever? But what I realized right now is what is lacking, same thing with fitness, is the confidence in business owners for females. So most of it, 95%, is we're working on mindset. Same thing with my fitness. I can show you a fitness routine. That's easy. You can get it free on YouTube. And what I focus on is the mindset in the fitness, right? But a lot of people come for the carrot, which is the good body or getting healthy. But actually, What it is the confidence. But we can't really sell confidence. That doesn't sell. That's not sexy. Hey, come for mindset. Like, no, I want to
Yeah.
build my business. So what I sell is I'm going to scale your business. You're going to double your income. Fitness. We're going to help you lose whatever weight. And really, it's the chocolate covered carrot is it's mindset, it's confidence. So what I realized, Callum, is what I'm really good at is working with business owners on why are they hiding? Because most of us
Okay.
females, what I've realized is that we hide. We hide and we peekaboo, especially on social media. And it's like, I'm going to teach you how to unhide, because when you unhide, that's when you make more money.
Um, Sounds very familiar. I did a course with Stephanie Joanna. Have you heard of Stephanie
No,
Joanna?
Stephanie Joanne?
Yeah, so she's very similar. She had gyms. She was on, went on TV programs. She did loads of online fitness videos. And I did a course a couple of years ago, and it's now for entrepreneurs. A very similar thing, and it was a very similar message. Outside of the carrot analogy, it would have been something else, but it was the idea that you know you can take anyone to a journey, but as you say, it's the mindset. Anyone can go from A to B. It's
Yeah.
how you get there, and if
Yeah.
you're not ready to get to B,
Yeah.
you're never even going to set off past the first hurdle at A anyway.
Yes, because I think what we think we're looking for the map. And I'm like, I can give you the map all day long. But if this is wired weirdly, chaotically, that map means so much. But I think we want the answers. And it's actually going back and shifting the foundation. Let's get the foundation. Let's think about the military, Callum. Let's get real. The military, you go day one, and what do? They knock you down. They start all over because they're like, we can't take 100 new army men, army people, and go, we're going to take all your crap that you brought with us and we're going to build you back up. The first 6 weeks or whatever it is, it's like, we're going to just knock everything down and then we rebuild you back up. And it's the same similar ideas. We bring all of our stuff into business. We bring all our stuff into fitness, expecting to build that body with all of our junk, right? And so, I'm going to change my life in 30 days. I don't know anybody that's going to rebuild a mansion on a shack in 30 days. We got to knock down the shack. We got to shift through the soil, and then we rebuild the mansion. That's how I see it.
I love that. Because my flagship group program did go on for 30 days. And I do call it a 30-day transformation, but I'm also very transparent with the idea that, listen, these results you're going to get in 30 days, you are not going to keep going. It's not long enough. It's not long enough.
It's not.
And
It's the carrot.
what,
Keep going.
yeah, and as you just said, I like that analogy about the sort of the foundations. You can build the mansion, but if the foundations are cracked underneath, the mansion's just going to fall down. And
Sooner or
I
later.
find that with people I find that with people all the time. It's like, right, I want to come here. I say this but in a different way. It's all about habits, which is
Amen.
people want instant results. They want to get to where they want. But if you don't change the habits that got you there to begin with, you're going back there again. So people will come to me, and I do quiz people a little bit. I don't mean to embarrass them. It's to make them think. We're talking about mindset and really dissect themselves into, because my one-to-one online program is timeless, right? It starts at 90 days, but most people go past that. I've had people working with me online on those courses for over a year to 2 years. And those clients, although they have got physical results, the biggest change is how they see their results.
Amen.
And once they've hit that point, I can see it instantly.
It's the
And
light bulb
like,
moment, Callum. That's what I call it. You could
yeah,
see it as a trainer. Kent, you could literally see the client go, la, right? That's the best feeling.
sometimes I'll even record. So if I do a coaching call with them when I first start, I'll record the coaching call,
good.
or I'll at least make some form of notes.
Yeah.
And then when they get to a stage where what we call the light bulb moment,
Yeah.
I'll show them a clip and go, "This is what you said to me 6 months ago," and, and they're
They're like,
like, "Well, I'm
what?
like, yeah, I'm like, there's your transformation right there. You may have only lost 2 stone in weight, but you're
Yeah.
feeling strong, you're feeling healthy, you're feeling confident. You
Wow.
you you look at food in a different way. You don't put as much pressure on yourself. Those are the transformations. But like you said before, I can't sell that.
Sell that.
I
You can,
can't sell guys.
you can. Hey, light bulb moment.
Yeah,
Come buy this program.
yeah. Come and sign up for 6 months of sustainable,
Habits.
holistic transformation. Yeah, they're like, no,
That is
thank you.
not so.
Yeah, I'd like to look like that, please, as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
Yep. Callum, you're so right. We have to dangle the carrot of 30-day transformation, but we really know it's not 30 days. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So on the fitness, obviously we talked a bit about business, your own fitness routine, because I don't know about you.
Mm.
I got into initially fitness because I loved it, right? I was training since I was 17. I'm 30 now, so it's a long time fitness has been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to get into it professionally till I was sort of 20, 22. There's a big jump between 20 to 22, 20 to 21. And I eventually did it. But one thing I noticed is not just a pandemic, but in general, because business becomes your life. My fitness, although it's okay, it's not what it used to be when I first got into this. So I'm trying different things at the minute. I'm going to get a new bike soon, so I can go cycling a little bit. When the world starts to open back up on this side, I want to try some hobbies, some sports to take my fitness past just weight training. So how are you getting on with your fitness, and how are you keeping that going with your own personal fitness regime?
Great question. What I fell in love with in the last 2 years was walking. I really fell in love with walking and nature and outside. And so that for me is my sanctuary, is my moving meditation. That sets my day. So at least I'm moving, right? And then what I've realized, and let's go back to that book when I said your zone of genius. What I realize what works for me, Callum, is that when I teach fitness online, I get my own workout. And and again, somebody listening is like, "Well, Joanna, I'm not a fitness instructor. How am I going to do that?" The lesson I'm giving you is that you find what works for you. Okay? I would have never thought the only way for me to get my workout in is to make it my job. Okay? But that was a new discovery within the pandemic. So I'm telling you this so you can see what is your discovery, because it's like seasons. Rather than 4 seasons in the year, right now we're having seasons in life, and we're in the pandemic season. And it may change later after.
Yeah.
But in this season right now, I am getting my workouts in by teaching it. Even if I was a billionaire, Callum, I would still teach my 4 classes a week that I'm teaching online. So I'm working out 4 times. I'm actually in better shape than I was pre-pandemic because I'm working out with them. And when I teach online, I do it full out, right? When I was in person, I can kind of, fart through it a little bit and pretend because I'm right there with them and I don't have to do it. And so the lesson, what I'm saying is find what works for your season. Just like in the summer, you're going to have a different routine than you had in the winter. But here's the thing, Callum, I really think that we have to be the same all the time, 365 days a year. I'm like, dude, my morning routine changes all the time. My walking routine changes all the time. The summer routine changes when it's fall, when it's this, when it's a holiday. It changes, but I don't turn it on and off. It just shifts a little bit. That's what's worked for me. And also giving myself the grace of when I'm feeling like it and I'm feeling less. Where, like you said, it's not the same and like, let's go, let's go, let's go. I think the pandemic has really gifted us the awareness of like adaptability, of the bamboo, of the seaweed in the water, and just being really more flexible than solid. We were very solid. There was a lot of solidity before the pandemic, and you've seen people shift and see life in a different way. So with that, I see my fitness in a different way. So hopefully, I mean, that wasn't an exact answer, but I hope that gives some light to people.
No, absolutely. It's about adapting. It's the same thing as we try and teach people to do. It's adapt. Um, I like the idea of the whole season thing. You know, you never think about it like that. It's such a linear experience, a calendar year.
Yeah.
In the same way that 7 days is a linear experience. How many times do
Yeah.
people, not just in fitness, in everything, go, oh, do you know what? Weekend's here. I'll start Monday. I'll start afresh on Monday.
Off and
It's
on.
Thursday.
Yeah.
It's yeah. So, you know, and it's that, the same thing I see right now. It's January.
Yep.
What should be my busiest time for fitness here in this country, we're in a lockdown, so it hasn't ended up being. But it shouldn't be that way. It's like just see how the year plays out, But there's always set times, seasons, as you would say, of where people want to make a transformation. So it's always January after Christmas.
Yep.
It's always round about May,
Yep.
getting
Here
there
comes the
before your summer
summer.
holidays, and then September
Yeah.
when people are fed up of summer and they want to, get ready for their Christmas
Yep.
parties and the
Yep.
balls and stuff like that.
Yep.
So even not necessarily the seasons of a year, but people are still programmed in a very linear way to
Yes.
follow a structure on and off, on and off. So I like this idea that don't see it in a 12-month calendar with seasons. Right now we're in a pandemic season. Let's adapt to it. It may end and then we'll adapt to it again.
Yeah.
It's just about when things hit you, how you respond and adapt accordingly.
Callum, absolutely. Because, like you said, when it was Thursday and here comes the weekend, I see it as an on and off switch. I don't see it that way, meaning I see it that other people see it that way. I see it as a like seaweed in water. Sometimes the seaweed is left, sometimes it's center, sometimes it's right. But the seaweed never goes, I'm on, I'm off. I don't move, I do move. It doesn't do that. Right. And I see us go on, off, on, off, on, off. And I think that's what's exhausting. I'm fed up, I'm tired. But if we just kind of, I know people can't see me right now, but my hands are kind of going a little bit up and down like a wave. It's not a jolty up and down, up and down. That's exhausting. And it's more like a wave. And that's a season. If we think about Mother Nature doesn't turn on and off. She is a wave. Sounds are in waves. It's not up and down sound waves. I mean, it's like science if we really think about it. And we're trying to go against Mother Nature by going on and off. Mother Nature doesn't do that.
I love that. Mother Nature doesn't.
That's
doesn't,
the quote right there.
So, obviously, what advice then do you have for someone right now who is in that position? The pandemic has affected their life. Maybe they're so low income, as we mentioned before. They've put all their eggs into one basket. Maybe they've been considering, not necessarily becoming an entrepreneur. It depends what your definition of that is. But in my mind, anyone who makes more than one income is an entrepreneur. They're thinking outside the box. They're trying to make different things happen. So if someone's just wanting to set up one business outside, where do they start?
The first thing I would have them do if I was going to facilitate them or myself, because I'm like, what would I tell myself to do? Number one, I would do a brain dump, like a journal. And the question is, the prompt is, what do I love to do? And don't think about business. Just literally, I love to do this. I love to cook. I love to read. I enjoy. And then you're going to there's going to be a theme of what you love. And then the next question can be, what am I really great at doing? I'm great at doing this. I'm great at, like I said, my zone of genius is teaching. Okay. I'm really good at teaching. I'm really good at this. I'm really good at video. I'm really good at, like, what are you great at? And then the next question is, what can you talk about for 24 hours a day and not shut up about? You have that one, oh my God, I'm so passionate. You could look at somebody's body language and know what lights them up. As soon as they perk up, that's what they're excited about. So what can you talk about forever and ever? You go to a party and you find that other person that wants to talk about the same thing. When you're at a party and you're just talking, what is that? And then you're going to see a theme. And I'm like, awesome. What can you start to create and do with that? And start talking about it and start putting it out on social media. And like we said before, throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks. Because if you try to write the business plan and have everything planned out, just start doing something and you're going to see what starts to land. You're going to see what lights you on and off. Just like my coaching right now for my businesses, I'm like, I don't know yet what it looks like. I'm just going to try something and see what happens. They're going to tell me, I go to my Instagram and I'll do a story and I'm like, hey, what do you want to hear from me today? And they'll tell me, the little, click here. And I'm like, wow, they really want to know that? I thought they wanted to know this, but they actually want to know that. That's the advice I would give Callum to them. I'm like, just start with that. And the next thing I would say is read Atomic Habits. You were talking about habits. Have you read that book, Atomic Habits?
I haven't read that.
Oh, Callum, great book by James Clear. And I'm like, read that book. And if you can't get through the book, you're not ready yet. I would say, like, do a 30-day challenge, do a 7-day challenge of anything. If you can't get through it, you're not ready yet to own a business. It's almost like a push-up, Callum. Are you ready to push up? And they're like, oh, I'm not strong enough. Okay, well, let's plank first. Because you're not ready to push up until you can plank. So I kind of see, like, what do A first, do B, do C, and that's what I would tell them.
Fantastic. So first of all, find a passion, because you've got to enjoy it. Otherwise, if you're doing it just to make money and just to make a business,
amen,
it's not going to work.
And then I know I just been passionate.
Yeah. And then turn passion into content.
Yes.
Talk about it, write about it, and then turn that into a business. Should there be demand for people to want to learn more about that? I think that's basically the gist, right?
Yes. And the last thing I'm going to end with is show up for you, and you will be the invitation for clients. But when you just show up for them, they could feel it. And it's everything we've ever gone against. Business coaches will say, show up for your clients. Do it. Let me tell you, that gets really old and you will burn out. When you show up for you and it's authentic, that's when you are like, their clients are moths to a flame. They will be attracted to you because you're showing up for you. And I had a big shift in that, Callum. I started showing up for me on video and podcasts, and people listen in. But when I showed up for everybody else, it's like I was a slave. You could feel that energy and I'm exhausted. And that's when the business will be created by itself, because you show up because you love it, not because you're like, I need to make a paycheck. I need to be here. Show up, and you're begging people to show up. It's a different energy.
Absolutely. I agree. And I've learned the same thing this year. That's why I started my own podcast. And I basically said, I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about. You can always hit unsubscribe if you don't like it. But what I'm going to do is put the right message out there and like you just said, people will attract to the content I put out if they're interested. I would rather have a following of 2,500 people on my Instagram or on my Facebook or my listeners on here who want what I've got to say, rather than having 5,000 people who half of them aren't even real. Yeah, not engaged at all.
Amen.
Amen. So that was awesome to have you on, Joanna. One thing I was just going to finish off on is, of course, if people are interested to find out a little bit more about you and your work, where can I point them to? What's the first step for them to go and check you out and see a bit about your work?
I live on Instagram. Please follow me at Joanna Vargas Official, and I do free 30-day challenges every month. Every month, the theme of the challenge changes, and I do it on Instagram every morning. So follow me there to find out the new challenge, and then please listen to my podcast. It's called The Get Up Girl, and that's on all your favorite podcast stations.
Fantastic. And I will plug the link to that in the description as well for the podcast people. I'll put the links, so if you're listening to this, you will be able to find all that in the description as you watch this episode. Go check out Joanna's page and go and listen to her podcast, because that sounds awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for coming on. Have a fun time in the sun, and I'll try and not roll around in the snow outside and pretend that I'm in LA. Although I've not been to that side. Though if I did, San Francisco is actually the place I wanted to go in California. But LA will do. LA will do.
Callum, look me up, and I'll think about you when I'm in my sweater as it's 65 degrees and I'm freezing. I'll think about you.
Fantastic.
Thanks, everybody.